Hi, everybody. This is Paige, back with you once again. Thank you for rejoining me. I am going to talk about vulnerability today. And I think I'm going to talk about it in a way that maybe we haven't thought about it in a long time, if we ever have thought about it this way. But it just crossed my mind, unless we are vulnerable and really reveal who we are, reveal our concerns, our issues, our wounds to one another, then how can we possibly unite in the way that we want to unite to go forward in a common cause, which is healing our wounds and getting past our issues? We're in a country where the environment is hostile to our existence. Vulnerability has everything to do with trust. Few Black Americans I've met offer trust easily. It takes us a minute. It has nothing to do with that hypervigilance thing. We have to check you out first. Part of this is wisdom. The other part is fear. There's a discussion between Black parents and their children, which has been unofficially dubbed the talk. I am sure this event, which is now regarded as a standard element of parenting, and sadly a rite of passage for Black children, originated with our enslaved ancestors. We have refined it to make it appropriate for each generation. Essentially, the talk is what parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and community members have felt they must have with young Black people about what to do, not if they encounter the police. They are told that if they are driving, to have their license and registration visible, to place their hands where the police can see them, to speak politely, and to follow instructions. They are told that if things begin to escalate, because they have been known to do so without provocation, they should try to get the officers' badge numbers, try to record the incident, try to call home, if possible, do their best to cooperate. But we all know that even under the most perfectly cooperative circumstances, lives have still been ended. We are vulnerable and unprotected. The laws in this country were not written for us, and too often do not apply to us. For all intents and purposes, we are left to fend for ourselves. This environment breeds the idea that even those closest to me just might betray me in order to save themselves. And it deters unity, as it is every man and woman for him or herself. We feel like we are sitting ducks in the wide open, exposed to enemy attack. No shield or shelter can adequately protect us. It seems we are defenseless. I can't even begin to imagine what it was like for our ancestors to be enslaved, to be kept corralled under someone else's design, to be beaten at any given minute for any given offense. In our workshops, in the Black male-female relationship experience, we talk about the experience of being vulnerable and unprotected. His primary instinct, if he's living under a certain moral principle, moral code, to provide and protect for his wife, his woman, his family, his children, and his community. A woman, on the other hand, her primary values are to be protected and be provided for. In slavery, that couldn't happen. Our ancestors were considered property. Even when they did marry, they weren't considered married in the owner's eyes. There is a very graphic and visceral, detailed account that I write in my book. It's fictional, but it's based on reality.
This long day has turned into a real rough night. My friend, she work in Master's house. Ella risks her life to steal saws for Joe's back. It's powerful cold in here. He's shaking from pain and cold. I finished wrapping Joe up tight. I rub his head with a cold rag and I kiss his face. And I sing quiet and low until I feel he done gone on to sleep. Rest back. I say, Justine. Oh Lord. What is that I hear now? Oh, sweet Jesus. That can't be Master footsteps. Boom! The cabinet doors flies wide open and that ice cold air flies in. My body jumps up. Joe grunt awake, but he can't move. I grab my wrap around me to protect me, not from the cold, but against what I know is coming. Master grabbed Joe's off the bed. Joe stumbles to his feet, hardly time to put his raggedy shoes on, and Master planted his foot in Joe's backside. He kicked him hard. Oh, I grit my teeth. And Joe, he grabs his hat and his old coat and he goes running out the door. I take one step towards Joe, pleading with my eyes. Master swings around and he look right at me and I take 2 steps back. I hear Joe feet on that cold, a few steps out there in the cold. Master grabbed me and he throw me on the bed. You know what I want, gal. My mind moved out of the cabinet. Into Mama's arms. Real slow like. I rest in Mama's arms. As she sang to me, why Master ravished this body. Mama singing in African. I stay right there in Mama's arm the whole while. It don't never last long. But how long it take to kill somebody's soul?
But the women felt unprotected. And the men felt that they couldn't fulfill their primary value, which was to provide and protect. The masters were providing for the women. The men could not protect their women, even from the master. And that kind of mistrust and kind of leeriness about each other traveled all the way down the generational bloodlines to today. Look at our relationships, the state of our relationships right now. I can barely be with it. When I see what our relationships, in some cases, many cases, too many cases, have been reduced to. No issue is a blanket across our entire race. However, too many issues are, and this is one of them. How can we ever truly unify to make it to the next level when we don't trust one another, when we're afraid to be vulnerable? And in some cases, we need to not trust. We need to not make ourselves vulnerable. But if we're all working on this at the same time, then hopefully we'll get to a point where we can begin to relinquish some of that control over our space. If we're not talking about the real issues, how will they ever get resolved? I feel vulnerable every time I get in front of this camera. I really do, because I know a lot of my ideas, even though they have worked for centuries, They are universal principles. The culture is shifting and changing in such a way that it makes it seem like what I'm saying is irrelevant. Here's the thing. In an intelligent culture, in a culture that is evolving and thriving and growing and getting truly to the next level, not just one or two or a handful like the celebrities, the entertainers, the influencers, but everyone. When a community moves forward together, it can only do so because it has tapped on the entire resources of its village. But there's a new movement by certain people that are trying to say that this country's not racist. We don't have issues here. There's nothing wrong here. Why are you feeling vulnerable? Why are you feeling afraid? There's a history in this country that would lend to that feeling, that emotion, that wound. And so we need to begin to unpack that and understand why it is we're feeling so vulnerable, how we can get rid of that feeling so that we can be powerful and move through this world like a hot knife through butter. Black people, we set the trends. We set the stage. We are the most powerful people on earth as far as I'm concerned. But why are we cowering all the time in fear? It's not our fault. I want you to hear that again. Come closer. Listen. It's not our fault. We inherited a lot of these patterns. And then we get into relationships and we don't know how to really let our guard down. Because when we're out in the world, in this society that doesn't value who we are as a people, and actually living among the descendants of those who started the entire slavery institution. We're living amongst their descendants. And it's very uncomfortable. So I won't go any further. I'll talk to you again next week.